Hello and welcome back. In this short lecture, we're going to learn about deploying Microsoft Office 365 for Windows or for Mac machines. To do that, we can go back to the Microsoft Intune portal and click on Client Apps, and that should point to Apps. And you can create here by adding a new app. And the type of the app you can choose as Office 365 Suite under that for Windows 10. Opposed to that, you have here the two settings. One would be the setting format would be the either you can choose any of them, but if you can choose here configuration designer, which is already built-in designer, you can fill these three different values or the information. When you try to fill this, it's gonna ask you what kind of Office 365 features you want to deploy. All that's going to be prompted. So prior to that, first one would be the app suite information. This is very basic information like the suite name and the description, and that's it. And once you click on OK, you're gonna actually fill other two. Let me fill here the required information for you. I fill name as Office 365 and the description as suite description, and click OK. And now if you can look at here, configure app suite, which is nothing but what are the features you want to select out of Office 365. If you don't want to install, for example, Skype for Business, you can ignore that. Or if you don't want maybe PowerPoint or Publisher or some other options, you can ignore it. But in my case, I'm going to choose everything and clicking on OK. And if you're looking for any additional Office apps, for example, Project Online Desktop Client, or maybe a Visio plan, if you want to include that, you can include that, and then click OK and go back to the app suite administration. This is where you're going to actually choosing whether you want to install 32-bit application or 64-bit. Most of the cases we go for the 64-bit application. At the same time, what kind of update channel you want to use? Mostly people will go for semi-annual or maybe a monthly targeted based on their custom design they would be choosing. So in my case, if I choose monthly targeted, I would be receiving monthly updates, and automatically that gets updated. And I can configure here the version of the install at the end user would be the latest, or you want to specify any of the specific build, for example 1907 or 1908, or I can choose as the latest all the time. And now I can choose remove any other Office previous versions are there. You can ignore that so that it's gonna uninstall. Similarly, automatically accept the app end user license agreement. If you want to accept the terms and conditions, you can accept directly from here so that there's no prompts for the end users. And for the activation, if you're using KMS kind of thing, you can use as the shade computer, but in our case it's going to be not the shade. And this is where the languages part comes into the picture. For example, if this Office 365 was targeted for French users, feel free to choose as a French. And if you're trying to target for maybe a different other than English, like Swedish users, you can choose that. So it becomes so easy for us to select the required languages. Earlier we used to to configure this, it used to be a very hard time for configuration. So let's select in our case as English just for the demo purpose. Click OK and click OK. That would actually configures on Windows 10 with the Office 365 product suite, and click on add. That would actually take some time to save, and that's going to be visible under, if I just go back to the left side blade, under here Office 365 would going to come up here. But before that, it is actually asking me to apply for assignment. So assignment is a target. Where do you want to deploy this specific application? The application name is, in our case, Office 365 Suite. So I'm going to click on assignments, and I can add, I want to assign this to as available for all the enrolled devices, or I can configure as a required. That means it's going to be mandatory. That means it's going to receive for all the users who are part of my Intune administration, or Intune is wherever it is managed, it's going to simply push that application. In this case, it's going to be Office 365. So I'm choosing here as a required, and I'm going to include a group called here. I can choose here as the group name all finance users, for example. I can choose here all EMS enabled users, for example, or I can choose all finance users group. Click select, And if you don't want to be installed based on the users, for example, you don't want this application to be installed for the users, click no. Or you want to target for only all devices, you can click on yes. Or if you're trying to target for all the users regardless of what device they are logging in, then you can choose as yes. That means you're targeting for users as well as the devices. If you choose this option, click OK. That would actually configure the required assignment. Click on save. That would save the application. Now I simply have to close this assignment in the left side, and if I do the refresh, I'm going to get it here, one of the application name as the Office 365 with the assignment status. I can check it here, Office 365, which is coming up with the option to automatically assigned for a few of the users. And this is how it's going to work for the Office 365. If you are if you're in favor of trying to deploy Office 365 not with the options which I have shown here, for example, I did show you here for configuration designer, which is automatically designer are popping up for you all these options, like you need to enter the name of the application and the suite you're selecting and the language pack you're selecting. But what happens is in the background it's going to create actually XML format file. So people who knows the packaging skills or who actually does the packaging. Packaging is a word or a theme. They normally bundles the software for automated installation or silent installation purpose. They make that existing softwares. They do. They basically convert as a package to install automatically. So in our case, if you are a big fan for customization, you can always go for XML format, like you give this similar fashion like Office 365 here, and this is whatever the suite example as the production name, and these are the quite common and the same as we deployed for the designer. But in the XML format, what we're going to do is we're going to actually give here some kind of XML format. Let me cancel this for a minute, and if let me show you here. Somehow it's not coming up. It looks like stuck, but let me show you here. It's going to be XML. So the XML will show you here the XML, whatever the Office customization tool you're going to use, the output of that XML simply copy paste here, and that would automatically deploy. For example, the method earlier which we demonstrated is the internet based. That means it's going to download from the over the internet. What if you don't want the applications to be installed from the internet? Instead, you wanted to deploy from your LAN. So that's where actually this configuration file configuration comes into the picture, where you can show that, hey, I don't want the source to be downloaded from the internet because it could be a 3 GB or 4 GB of the source. Instead, you just go to my file server or my DFS path and get it done from there. So since the DFS path is replicated everywhere and everywhere it is available within the LAN, it's going to install in a no time, in fact, right? So that's the one other advantage of having this internal XML customization if you have done it. And that concludes how to deploy Office 365 in our case, and we'll go to the Mac OS specific settings in a minute or so. I'm just checking here as a Mac OS specific Office 365 suite, and it is giving me option to enter the suite app suite information. Once I've entered the app suite information here, like suite name as the Office 365 Mac, and here the productivity and other information, and just click OK. That would actually shows me here as the Mac, and click add. That's going to be added here as the new policy or new application will be coming up here. And before that appear here, I need to assign for the Mac only specific application because this is only targeted for Mac. So I'm going to assign for a Mac group if I have already having, like I'm just showing you here as the available for enrolled devices only. And here I can check out here any of the Mac specific group is available. If so, I can select it. If not, I need to select some other group. For example, here I'm gonna say that just for this is just a test case, so I'm just choosing as the eSIM capable devices, which are nothing but my Mac devices example, and simply I'm choosing that group. So this group are also part of my other targets, but I just want to reuse this group instead of I recreate for this demonstration. But in your case, you need to select the proper group. Click OK. That would actually assign this as the available mode for end users or end devices on the Mac machines. And now once it is done, like successful, then close this notification and come back to the here and do a refresh. That should actually show up here, Mac specific Office 365 that would install the Mac on the Mac machines Office 365. But there are a few points to be remembered. Whatever the Office 365 you are trying to deploy, regardless of Mac or Windows, you need to be sure that if the users are opening any of the Office applications, either it could be older or latest, it might be data may corrupt because it's going to simply end up those applications. That's how the behavior will be. And Mac specific, there are a few other points like Mac OS should be 10.10 at least, the minimum version, otherwise it doesn't work. And it's going to be install at least Office 2016 onwards. It's going to support it for Mac. That's how it's going to work for a Mac case. Thank you for watching this, and we'll catch with another lecture.